Hi, this is Jonathan Pettit from Purdue's Center on Religion and Chinese Society. This video introduces our study abroad program in China. If you follow the link below this video, it will take you to this map viewer. And you use this in much the same way as Google Maps or other online mapping services. To the left hand side, you have the zoom out and zoom in features. You can also hold down the left mouse button and it will allow you to move the map in this fashion. If you see a box highlighted or any kind of pinpoint, you can click on that and it will bring up a picture of that feature. And if you click on the picture, it will take you to the web page associated with that place. Down at the bottom, there's a slide presentation uh, toggle box, so you can go back a slide or forward a slide. So slide 2 begins day 1 of our journey. We'll be flying from the United States to China. We'll arrive in Beijing, and it's on the airport is on the northeast side of town, and our hotel is on the southwest side of town. So again, you can click on these pictures, and it will take you to a web page with more information about that site. So the first day we'll take it easy once we get to the hotel, but on day 2 we'll travel from our hotel, which is conveniently located to the central sites of Beijing. So on the first day in Beijing, we'll visit a lot of places you've probably heard of before: Tiananmen Square, the Forbidden City, and Beihai Park. Um, so again, you can click on this if you want to learn more about what that place is. From there, we'll walk over to the Catholic Cathedral of Beijing, and by the end of the day, we'll end up in this at Hohai, which is a lake on the north side of downtown with lots of nice restaurants and shops. On the next day, we'll travel from our hotel, which again is over here, and we're going to go to the Minzu University in the morning for a lecture. In the morning time, in the afternoon, we'll visit both a Buddhist monastery southeast of our hotel and end up at one of the most famous Taoist temples of Beijing. The following day, we'll take a private van from our hotel and we'll head west of town over the mountains through a mountain pass, and then we'll come here. So again, I'm clicking on this area over here, and that will zoom in. We could also use the plus feature if we wanted to. So we'll be going to the Tanzhe Monastery, set in the hills of Beijing, um, away from the smog of of the city. So we'll enjoy one nice day in the mountains of Beijing. So again, I encourage you to kind of you can use this map feature to take a look around and see what else is there. So next day we'll be flying from Beijing to Lanzhou, which I affectionately call the Denver of China. Higher altitude out in the west, very arid. So we'll be flying from the Beijing Capital Airport over the steppes till we arrive at Lanzhou. And you'll notice that the airport for Lanzhou is very far away from the city. So they had to, since Lanzhou is in a river valley, there wasn't enough room to build the airport, so they had to come all the way up here to build it. But there's a bus that will take us into town. And as you can see, it's a very arid climate here, although there is quite a bit of agriculture in this province. So from the airport, we'll take a bus to Lanzhou University, and we'll be staying in Lanzhou University right there, if I remember correctly. So it's a hotel at the university that we'll be staying at. So we'll have a reception at Lanzhou University that evening. We'll meet the students. We'll be studying with a group of students at Lanzhou University for the days that we're there. Day 6, we'll travel south of town. So here again, up here is the university, and we'll have a private van that will first take us to the Five Hunts Park, which there are some religious sites there as well, but one of the most famous tourist destinations is Lanzhou. But from there, we'll head up the mountain. So if you can tell, this is a rather steep mountain road that will take us up to the Shanghai Pavilion. And from here, if you click on it, you can kind of see what it looks like. It's a tall tower, and you can climb up to the top here, and you overlook the whole city of Lanzhou, which is quite nice. From there, we'll be going to a couple of Buddhist monasteries. One that's right nearby the Shanghai Pavilion, the Pujiao Monastery. This is quite a site that overlooks the entire city as well. Um, and then from there, we'll head down the mountain till we arrive at a monastery on the backside of the mountain. So we'll go down this mountain road and back up the backside of the mountain where we have the Xining Monastery. And from there, we'll travel back to the university. So that will be a full day. Next day will be Sunday morning, and we're going to start with a church service. We can get it at the Tanzhe Church. And from there, we'll have another big walking day. There are a number of famous religious sites that line this road. Pretty much from the church all the way down this road is a huge pedestrian mall. So it's a nice place to walk. Along the way, there's the City God Temple, which is a very old temple, and it's a huge bazaar where you can buy all sorts of trinkets and artwork and books. It's a pretty miraculous place. One of the most famous mosques in Lanzhou is on the same road. And then we'll walk over to the Baiyun Temple, a Taoist temple of Lanzhou. And we'll end the day by walking back over this bridge till we get to the White Stupa Park. So this is a big hillside park, another very iconic location for Lanzhou. So whereas the previous day we are on the south side of town, here we go to the north side of town and overlook the city from the other way. So I have a couple more days in Lanzhou. The next day we will begin at the Provincial Museum, which is over here on the left. So I encourage you to definitely click on this picture and go take a look at what's in the Provincial Museum. It's a great place, not only artwork, but it introduces a lot of facets of the history of Northwest China in general, and lots of great stuff on religious art and religious history that we'll take a look at. On day 8, the other sites that we visit will be a series of mosques. So our readings and our discussions on a day will all center on Muslim communities in China, say at the Lotus Pond Mosque, and then over here are 2 others that are right next to each other, the Nangguan Mosque and the Nantao Mosque. And the last day in Lanzhou, we will begin the morning at a small Buddhist monastery, and kind of a lot of the day 9 activities will focus on newer religious communities, places that have been built in the past 10 years or so. So we have a Buddhist and a Taoist temple here, and then in the afternoon we're going to take a bus over to the far side of town, traveling west till you get to the very edge of town, where there's this very curious and very new large complex, the Bao'an Monastery. And we'll go back to our hotel, and the following day we will head from the university, likely walk or take a taxi down to the train station, which is on the south side of town here. And we will take a train to Xining, which is about a 2.5 hour, 3 hour train ride through this valley up to Xining. Once we arrive in Xining, I've arranged for somebody to pick us up from the train station. So in Xining, the train station is under construction, so it's supposed to be over here. So instead, we're going to have to enter into town at the west train station, a temporary train station on the west side of town. But they will take us to our hotel first, so we can put our stuff in our rooms. In this hotel will probably be the nicest hotel we'll stay in during our travels. It's a wonderful place, right in a really great part of town. So once we put our stuff down and get some lunch, we'll head down to the famous Kumbum Monastery. and definitely click on this and read about that. Very famous Tibetan monastery, probably one of the most popular tourist destinations in Qinghai province. So Xining and Lanzhou are in two different provinces. The next day, we're going to another Tibetan monastery that's less visited by tourists, but is probably one of the four most famous Tibetan monasteries in China. So we find it way up here, the Gonlung Monastery. Um, what makes it what the fun part about this map is if you click and you zoom in here to take a closer look at this monastery, you get a sense of how far out of town it is. Of course, you're traveling in a mountain valley all the way up, and once you arrive at the monastery, if you keep following the road, you notice that the road ends. Right. So use this map feature to explore around and get a sense of where we'll be going. So this will be quite a full day adventure to get up to the top of the mountain, but it will certainly be worth it. Our third and final day in Beijing will start at the hotel in the morning, and um, we'll visit a Buddhist monastery that's south of our hotel, the Nanchang Monastery, and then we'll head up north and go to a really cool Taoist temple that's in the side of a mountain. So lots of cave temples, and this is one of my favorite places on our whole journey. Um, but from there, we'll head straight to the airport, which is much like Lanzhou, kind of outside of town. So it's about a 35-40 minute drive over to the airport. And from the airport, we have a direct flight to Shanghai. So we'll fly from Xining into the Pudong Airport, which is right over here. From there, we can take a subway over to our hotel, which is kind of right in the heart of Shanghai. So by the time we get there, it will be dinner time and time to go to bed. But the next day, there's a great museum that is right next to the hotel, the Urban Planning Exhibition Center, which is just a great introduction um, to the history of Shanghai and kind of the layout of Shanghai and Shanghai culture. Um, After lunch, we're going to head up to Shanghai University, which is on the north side of town, um, and we'll have a class with some of the students there. So next morning, we're going to begin a journey from Shanghai and kind of head south of Shanghai for a few days. So we have a private bus that will take us from Shanghai to Hangzhou, southwest of Shanghai. So in the midday, we'll first head to the Jingsi Monastery and have lunch there. And then we'll drive around the lake to the Linyi Monastery on the other side of town. And then we'll drive back to our hotel in the evening time. So kind of have the inconvenient trip is a result of we'll have a much better lunch here. The next morning, we'll board a bus and travel from Hangzhou to Shaoxing, to the Tushita Heaven Monastery. And after we'll spend the midday and afternoon here, then we're going to drive around and spend the night over here. This is a nice little touristy area with lots of it's the old street, so lots of old restaurants and shops, and it's quite a fun place. One of the other reasons that we're spending the night here is the next morning we will go to a nearby monastery that's a new monastery that's been built about 20 minutes west of there. The afternoon of this day, we'll head over to the King Ashoka Monastery. And again, don't forget you can keep clicking on these pictures to bring out the websites, and then we'll come to Ningbo that evening to spend the night in this hotel that's one of the most intriguing architectural structures. I promise it's safe. So the next morning we will board our bus for the last day of this part of the travel, which will go Ningbo back to Shanghai. And once we get into Shanghai, we'll go to a couple more religious sites. Um, One will be the St. Ignatius Cathedral in Shanghai, which is an amazing place. And then one more Buddhist monastery, the Guanghua Monastery. Uh, and then, so we can, and then we will travel to our hotel for the evening, which is in the airport. So it's the Pudong Airport Hotel, and spend the night there. And the next morning, board a plane and head back to the U.S. So that's our journey. Please just let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And I hope you find this map viewer a fun way to explore where we'll be going. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. Thanks.